Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Talking the Talk with Don. No interviews this time around, but this time we got a special one here for you, because you know what? It's that time of year again. It's the time of year we all wait for. Not because it's Christmas or any of that garbage. It's time for everyone's Spotify Wrapped. For those of you who don't know what the fuck that is, here's the Cliff Notes answer, okay? So anyway, throughout the year, Spotify tracks everything you listen to, and at the end of the year, they release what they call the Spotify Wrapped. It's actually pretty fun, because for people like me who listen to a fuck ton of music on Spotify, we get to see just which artists we jammed the most. You know, like what albums, what songs, what artists, and there's no hiding because of this. So there's no secrets, and if you're worried that your friend's going to find out that you've developed a, I don't know, like a Barry Manilow fixation or something, keep on worrying, son, because they're going to find out. So yeah, so this year was kind of weird for me now that I got my Spotify Wrapped to really take it in and see what all I listened to this year. So my top 5 artists this year contained no metal, and for the first time in a long time, the Grateful Dead did not make an appearance in my top 5. While I was surprised, I was thrilled to see just how dramatically different this year was from previous years. It always, I don't know, it always makes me happy when I see that my years have fluctuated and that, I've taken in different genres of music or more so or less of artists that I haven't talked about or haven't listened to in a while. So anyway, let's hop on into this. So according to my Spotify Wrapped, I listened to 71,182 minutes of music. That is 49 days. I don't know what to do with that information. Well, actually, I do. I'm sharing it right now. But anyway, according to Spotify Wrapped, my top 5 artists were David Gilmour, number 5. Number 4 is Marissa Nadler. Number 3 is Laura Maraca from the band We Saw a Bear. Number 2 was Sarah McLachlan, and number 1 was the legendary Roger Waters. Now that list did kind of surprise me because I really thought I listened to, some other artists as much, if not more, than these artists. But what I also realized is that I listened to a lot more vinyl this year than I have in past years. So a lot of my listening was not going to necessarily reflect here because obviously I wasn't listening to a lot of it on Spotify. So maybe next year maybe I'll track my vinyl listening and add it into these stats, and it would be interesting to see. So anyway, according to Spotify Wrapped, my other 2025 highlights were January 8th was my biggest space music day. Where do they get this shit? I don't know. But anyway, it says that I listened to 350 minutes of space music, and I let metal make a cameo. How nice of me. Well, I'm a good guy. Anyway, the late evening set off with a Bullet Boys Flash when I floated for hours through Floating Through Space, an ambient drone space music playlist. I listen to that playlist just about every night to get baked or to go to sleep or do both. So it's actually really no wonder that it ranked so high up here. Yeah, and anyway, going on, it says, by morning, Iron Maiden and Opeth cut through the haze before Brother Hawk and Magic Brother and Mystic Sister filled the afternoon. I actually forgot that I was on somewhat of an Opeth bender for a couple of days. But yeah, so anyway, it says I listened to 484 minutes of music, 158 tracks, and 116 artists. So on August 25th, they said it was my biggest music listening day. And Spotify Wrapped says that it was the day that I turned 687 minutes into a Roger Waters epic and a relaxing and chill playlist marathon. So they say that overnight I drifted from Roger Waters' Speak to Me into a marathon of ambient tracks. Then I let Rubber Tea and Marillion shape a progressive morning, but by evening, Roger Waters circled back for another round of epic sweets. they make this all sound so dramatic, but I kind of dig it. I'm here for it. So anyway, it says that I listened to 687 minutes of music. I listened to 200 tracks and 111 artists that day. That's crazy. On September 8th, Spotify Wrapped said it was my most diverse day, that I mapped 36 genres from David Gilmour to Lady Gaga to grunge and beyond. Excuse me. This is so like epic and dramatic. I love this. So anyway, it says that my morning opened with a David Gilmour suite and then spun through Rush's prog rock, Eric Burdon's funk detours, and a parade of classics featuring the Bee Gees, The Doors, and Fish. Oh my. By night, The Clientele and Nephilah traded places with Janet Jackson and Guns N' Roses. So The Clientele was a really great shoegaze band from the early 2000s that had an incredible album called The Violet Hour that I absolutely love to this day. And Nephilah is an incredible psych rock band from Sweden and amazing. So anyway, they definitely filled up that day, obviously. So it was 492 minutes of music, 145 tracks, and 73 artists. So according to Spotify Wrapped, again, on October 11th, they said it was a repeat heavy day. It was the day that I built a spiral staircase out of loops and echoes. This is so hard to get through without laughing sometimes, but it's, again, I'm here for it. It's great. Anyway, so the late evening found me looping through the entirety of Send a Prayer My Way by Julian Baker and Torres, only to let Arc Patrol's Let Go echo into the early morning, sometimes twice in a row, often many more. The Beatles and Gin Blossoms made brief appearances, but repetition was the proper anchor. So Arc Patrol's Let Go is one of these kind of ambient, like psychedelic songs. It's real heady. It's very mellow. I actually heard it for the first time on a TikTok video, and I fell in love with it. Found it on Spotify, and I would just kind of loop it, while I was going to sleep or getting baked or whatever. And it's just an incredible song. So, and then Julian Baker and Torres actually put out a great alt country record called Send a Prayer My Way that I was absolutely obsessed with. So anyway, it says I listened to 387 minutes of music, 119 plays, 89 repeats. And then my top genres. Here, let's do this. So number 5 was singer-songwriter. Number 4 was jam bands. Number 3 was jazz. Number 2 was progressive rock. And number 1 was space music. Space music. I love that. And according to Spotify Wrapped, my listening age was 18. Kind of like my humor and mentality, as my wife would probably say. It's also the first time that my listening age has been under 40 for like ever. So according to Wrapped, my top 5 songs were, it was dominated by one artist and then one song from another artist shoved right in the middle. So anyway, number 5 was Another Window by Laura Maraca. Number 4 was Goner by Laura Maraca. Number 3 was Let Go by Arc Patrol, which we just spoke about. Number 2 was Who, What, When, Where by Laura Maraca. And finally, number 1 was Storm by Laura Maraca. So Laura fronts a band here in South Carolina called We Saw a Bear. And when I first saw them about a year and a half ago, I was floored. Like, definitely some of my favorite singer-songwriter kind of stuff. But it's not just your average singer-songwriter. It's very ethereal at times, very moody. Like it almost sounds like it could be like some Laurel Canyon type stuff, and I absolutely love it. So, if you listen to her stuff, you'd probably understand why I was hooked on it. So, be sure to check out the playlist below. So, according to Spotify Wrapped, I listened to 138 albums this year. So the number 5 album was Marissa Nadler's New Radiations, which is a fantastic record. Marissa, if you don't know about her, she is a dark folk singer-songwriter who is based out of Nashville now, but originally from Boston. And her new album was just absolutely fantastic. I've been a fan of hers for about 10 years now. And it kind of was like a full circle type album all the way back to, I'd say, her album July or so, which is a lot more sparse, mostly just guitar and vocal with a little bit of other instrumentation. Fantastic. Number 4 was Sarah McLachlan's Better Broken album. Her best album since Surfacing. I'm totally 100% serious. Like, I kind of felt like that from Surfacing on, she kind of lost her way and stumbled a little bit, but for some reason brought it right back this year with Better Broken. It's a fantastic album. Number 3 was David Gilmour's Luck and Strange, which is so funny because that was one of my top albums last year. So obviously, I still haven't given up on it. Number 2 was Roger Waters' The Dark Side of the Moon Redux, which I got a lot of shit for loving this album so much, but if you have heard it and you get it, you just get it. There's really not a whole lot to go into it. You know, I'm actually considering doing an episode on that album again. So, to kind of just better. So basically, if you're going to look for Dark Side of the Moon Part 2, you're not. It's not a replica of Dark Side of the Moon. It is a whole new spin and take on the concept and the songs of Dark Side of the Moon, as sung by a guy who is almost 80 years old. So anyway, and my number 1 album was Roger Waters' This Is Not a Drill, live from Prague. And I know a lot of people's lists don't generally include, live albums or redo albums or whatever. But, I could not stop listening to this album this year. Definitely one of the best live albums I've heard in forever. And apparently I was the 2,859th most listened to Roger Waters fan globally. Who knew? I don't know what to do with that information, but you know what? I'd love to see who the number 1 fan was, because that guy must have just been listening to nothing but Roger Waters like 12 hours a day, till the end of the year. Hell, probably on loop every day. So as far as podcasts go, Spotify Wrapped said that I streamed 327 minutes. I'm getting more and more into listening to podcasts on Spotify. And now that I completed my album and released it in November, which is called Dancing on My Father's Grave, available on all major streaming platforms. But once I got that out, it gave me more time to actually go back and kind of catch up on things like podcasts. So my top podcast this year was Hair Metal Memories, which is an incredible podcast with these 2 dudes, and I forget where they're from. But every episode, they basically take a hair metal album and break it down track by track. And they're just so much fun to listen to. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of stole their format to use on my podcast, On and Off the Records. So big shout out and salute to those guys for the inspiration. So that's it. That was my Spotify Wrapped. And I guess 2025 was definitely a surprise for me when it came to looking at these stats. Again, like I said earlier, I also take into account that I listened to a ton of vinyl this year, and definitely more than previous years. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking again, like what I said earlier, maybe I'll track my vinyl listing this year and kind of add it into, or not even add it into these stats, but like include them as their own category or something. That might be interesting. So, man, music, a lot of great music really filled my ears and got me through many, many ups and downs this year. Music, as always, was my faithful companion and guided me through, some dark and some rugged terrain. And when I needed it the most, it kind of floated me out of it all. God, man, what a great gift music is. What would we do without it? There's a good chance that if you're listening to this podcast in this episode right now, that you are as passionate and love music as much as I do, as much as anybody else, if not more. Jim Morrison sang it in When the Music's Over by the Doors. He said, music is your special friend. It's that friend that's always going to be there for us no matter what. It's tried and true. No matter what time of day or night or what the weather is or what the location is, you can always find it. And it'll always be there for us. So if you guys did a Spotify Wrapped this year, I'd love to see what your top 5 artists and your top 5 albums are. So feel free to leave a comment on the blog post or right here on YouTube. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. And I'm going to be back again probably in another week or so with my top albums of 2025, which I will break down and share with you guys. And hopefully you'll find some new favorite music or favorite bands. All right, folks, I am out of here. Love each other, love yourselves, and just be good. Take care, y'all.